Welcome to day 2 of the 4-day content development plan. So in this 4-part series, I'm breaking down your content strategy, all the ways to get the right resources, and then all the way talking about establishing your publishing calendar and everything in between. I'm Janet Bartoli from Expert SEO Masterclass and the Bartoli Consulting Group. I teach and consult on SEO management, so let's get into this. So who are you trying to reach? This is definitely the number one question you should be asking no matter what piece of content you're developing. It doesn't matter if it is just a quick blog post or a quick video. There should be a specific intended person or persona or audience member or group type you should be reaching. That should be well defined. That should be clearly understood. It cannot be everybody. It can't be everybody that is working out at home. That's not getting it drilled down into an individual person. If you are, for example, maybe it's a fitness trainer, or if it is something in health, and you're trying to reach a specific avatar or persona, think really clearly about who it is you're trying to reach. So instead of saying everybody who's working out at home, which could be right now 90+% of the population that even works out at all, okay? So maybe it is women from 18 to 25 who love running and strength training. That's a very specific person I've identified, and who lives in the East Coast of the US, and maybe is college educated and loves Sephora. I mean, you're getting very specific on who is that actual person. And maybe she shops at Lululemon. So you get where I'm going, that you have to drill it down very specifically, whether it's demographics or psychographics, but figure out who it is you're trying to reach. Create the buyer persona. I gave you a little bit of an example just in my description there, but you have to create a buyer persona. And what a buyer persona is a fictional person who represents a particular company's ideal customer. You can name that person Jane or Sam or whatever. You can give them a name. Maybe it is a customer of yours. So if you already have a particular customer who maybe is your favorite customer or your ideal customer, and that person already has a name, let's say Scott, and he's 27 and he loves hiking in the outdoors, and he loves traveling. So put a name and a face to that person. Many times people will, when they're creating their avatar, they're actually finding a photograph of that person. What do they look like? And again, what they dress, how they dress, and what it is that they're interested in. That's what you're really doing. Digitalmarketer.com has an awesome customer avatar worksheet. So if you do, if you want to have a little bit more of a formal way of creating this, I would highly recommend you go there, download that worksheet, and it should really help you kind of think through more specifically. Now, there's a few ways to really get at that specific data. Number one, go to Google Analytics. It's hopefully you already have this set up, but you go to Google Analytics. There's in the audience section, go to the interests, and then you'll really see more specifically where they are located. You can, if you go to the audience and then overview, and then you put in your date range. So I would put something like in the last 12 months, or maybe the last, probably 12 months is significant enough. You don't want to do 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month. You want it to be further out. So anywhere from a year to 2 years is good enough to get some understanding. In that time frame, generally 1 year to 1.5 years, you'll start really identifying exactly what the course of people, how they visit your site, what is the makeup of that group of people that are visiting your site. So that's really important. It may change. So if you look at the last 5 years, that group may have changed over the course of time. That's why you really want to get a more recent sampling. of who that is. Next, on their online presence, where do they hang out the most? I mean, are they over on Pinterest most of the time? Are they between somewhere between YouTube and Facebook? So really, you have to know where they like hanging out, and that's where what's going to help you determine where the content should be published or shared, to really get greater exposure to where they are currently. You obviously having them on your own platform is ideal, of course, and that's part of what we do from an SEO standpoint, is really optimizing our pages so that we can garner the most relevant audience to our site. But it's helpful to understand where they do hang out. What are their goals? What are their challenges? And what are their pain points? Those things, again, you should know, or you should have an idea, because it's those things that they have problems with that your product or service helps them solve. So, understanding and identifying their goals, their challenges, their pain points, what are their problems, what are their traditional problems. Typically, those things are going to be found in an FAQ or somewhere where they're looking for answers, and or what you see in people also ask. When you type in the general topic of what you have into Google, you can kind of learn a little bit more there. Then there's going to be some decision making and objections. What objections do they need to overcome? If it's B2B, it's slightly different than if you're talking directly to a consumer. Though there's still obviously a decision-making process that might occur with a consumer than with a business. Again, depending on the price point, it may be a quicker buying decision from to a consumer than if it were a B2B and it's a higher priced offer or service that you provide. So, but you still need to understand what the process is. What are their objections? What is it? Time? Is it money? Is it resources or lack thereof? So you have to understand all of these pieces to really get at and understand your ideal customer or the persona and that's really what is going to make up your persona profile. Identify the kind of content through all the platforms. What is getting consumed the most and who is consuming that content? And if you can really look at, as I mentioned earlier on, just before, looking into Google Analytics and getting it all set up, getting your goals set up, look at the click-through path and really kind of figuring out where are they falling off, where are they coming from, what part of the world, what is the age demographic breakdown, which you can also get in demographics and interest section inside analytics. So that's where we're really going to get to is who are they, where are they hanging out, what are their goals and challenges, what are their decision-making process or thoughts, what are their objections, and identify the kind of content that maybe you already have and you can see how it's getting consumed or not, as the case might also be. So that's what we're going to talk about now. And so here's a little bit more, just get more specific about age and gender. If you go to under audience, demographics, and overview, this is where you can kind of get more specific on gender, maybe even age, targeting specific age groups. And really that will help with anything you do, even on the paid side, of course, paid social, paid search. These pieces of information goes into campaign development. Why should it not be included with your SEO content marketing strategy? It absolutely should. So make sure that you take full advantage of all that you can get here. Now we have to audit the content. This step seems to get overlooked by just about every SEO professional that I speak to that has less than 10 years experience. Why? I don't know. But you've got to look at the content that you have. It's not a matter of, let me go buy 1,000 links, or always starting with the links in mind, which is wrong. You've got to start with your content. What content already exists in there? You don't know, but there could be content in there that you can learn so much about between what is getting consumed and what's not getting consumed or linked to, shared. How much is the time on that page? Is it something worthwhile keeping, or should we just repurpose it somewhere else, archive it altogether? But we need to really conduct an audit first. So if we look at the tools, there's a gajillion tools we could absolutely use to conduct a content audit, but here's just a few very easily accessible tools that you can use no matter what stage of your SEO practice that you're at, but you can use Screaming Frog, use Ahrefs, or even SEMrush, even if you're using that free SEMrush account where you set up a project, you can conduct the content audit in there as well. So you're going through and you're really looking at, in each of these things, you're looking at all the URLs, you're looking at the titles, you're looking at your descriptions. So you're really kind of auditing all of it. So you want to do is identify all the content, look at the content from the perspective of a new customer. So if you're looking at your blog posts, your sales literature, case studies, all of that, just download and export it all from Screaming Frog to Ahrefs or SEMrush, push it all into Google Sheets so that you have that total view. Now you got to review all of the content. Once you do that, what specifically when you're looking at is keywords related to the industry. What keywords am I already being found for? What keywords am I not missing, or am I missing the mark on? Or how can I make them a little bit more, how can I make the content more relevant by integrating other keywords into that content? The questions that my target avatar is asking, am I answering them either effectively or at all? If not, that's a pure, easy way to kind of identify that's content I need to develop. Content that's starting to rank but could be improved in some way. This is ideal and one of my favorites because you might see it ranking 45th, let's say, or 52nd. So it's ranking, but you want to kind of between your ranking of 50, 60, 70 and getting it to page 2 and eventually page 1, there's a number of things we can do to fast track it to get to page 2. And that is just purely sharing it and making sure that you develop the best, most relevant content. It also obviously may take some time depending on how often you publish to get that page ranked and get it ranking faster. So learn as much as you can about that content that may be lagging in ranking. What could you do to improve it? Is it a matter of maybe adding other additional content? Could it be interspersing an infographic or a video or something else in there to help sort of beef up that content and make it more valuable? Always you're trying to make it as valuable a piece of content as you possibly can. Next, is this content top, middle, or bottom of the funnel material? Am I hitting them over the head with a hard sell, which is bottom? Maybe I have them in 90% of my content is all bottom of the funnel, in which case it's not an even mix. You got to create a nice even mix of top, middle, and bottom of the funnel. Now, it doesn't have to be exact. You don't need 10 articles on the top, 10 in the middle, and 10 on the bottom, but have a good mixture of thinking through someone who doesn't know anything about the business or the product or service that you're offering. You have to think through what messaging do I want to get across to someone who knows nothing about me or what I do. That's where we want to develop that kind of content out. And then maybe in the middle of the content, think through what content do I have that even talks about a particular problem that avatar has and my solution, or my solution as compared to others in the marketplace, and how I'm comparing them from one to another from a feature set perspective, or what does it offer that the others don't. So again, you're trying to get them comfortable with reviewing and looking at other products or services as compared to yours, and then making that decision to finally go to bottom of the funnel where they're actually making the sale. But look at all of your content. It's easy if you do it in Google Sheets and you can kind of review it all. Look it up as compared to all the traffic it's getting. If it's not getting any traffic at all, you might have several hundred pages that just aren't getting any traffic. Well, from a crawl, bandwidth perspective, it might be more efficient for the search engine crawler to maybe just crawl those pages that are actually doing something from a KPI perspective. So maybe there's articles that are getting shared or links that are pointing to it, or a lot of traffic is coming in and converting off of those pages. Those you want to keep, obviously. But the others, maybe you decide to archive. You might redirect them into a different category area and then think through a better content strategy. So that's how you're going to really develop your content gap analysis. Out of this comes that gap analysis that determines how much content I have at top, middle, bottom of the funnel, how much content is actually hitting the mark in terms of really trying to address and serve my avatar, my future customer. What is that content that is missing? And also competitively, you should be looking at your competition. Take 2 or 3 of the direct competitors and look through to learn what it is they're doing and they're bringing to the table that you're not. What keywords or what search phrases or themes are they ranking for that you are not? What niche or industry or topic area do you need to dominate and own? What kind of content exists or doesn't exist under there? That's how you're going to create this gap analysis. Now, there's many different content types. Of course, blog posts are still an essential part of your content marketing mix. They still absolutely 100% deliver strong results. I hear so many business owners, all size business owners, constantly refer to their organic search as their #1 revenue generating channel. So it's still no surprise to me, but I know that it comes as a surprise to so many others. Do not neglect your blog posts. They should be actionable, valuable, and shareable. When they are those 3 things, you will naturally be acquiring links to them. Your job is content development. It is not having to constantly go out sourcing links. They will naturally happen, and this is actually a better way to stay out of any negative link neighborhoods by just creating kick-ass content that's shareable and it's valuable. People prefer to see that kind of content. Next, always include video. And I would say at least 70% of all your content produced should include some video of some kind. And again, you can mix it up and say, maybe you've got a 3-minute video. This is not anything that needs to be mass produced or have major production involved. Yeah, I'm sure you hear that. You've certainly seen it all over YouTube and other platforms as well. You just need to be valuable. You just need to help out, provide really good content in the form of just keep it simplistic and really be helpful. Learn what content your visitors like most, okay? And then obviously do more of that. And it just seems simplistic, but it is such a really truth statement here, is that learn what they prefer to see. If they prefer to see straight text and case studies, white papers, then do more of that. Even though video may be doing really well for some other businesses, that may not necessarily mean that you need to do the same. If it's not working for your avatar or your prospective customers, then don't bother with it. You have to provide the kind of content that your audience is actually looking for. Create your plan. So, what content gaps exist? What kind of content will you develop to close that gap? What will it be mixed, a mixture of what content types will you be providing? Will it be a mixture of blog posts interspersed with some videos? And also over on your YouTube channel, maybe you're producing a series or how-to videos, and then you can integrate that with other how-to articles that you might have in your site. So think through the strategy. I know one of the best ways that I like to do is really look at the direct competition, but level up. So if your direct competition is some small Etsy shop, go a level up. Go to see what maybe a Neiman Marcus or another well-known brand, what are they doing from a content perspective? And see if you can replicate maybe those ideas. You can get an understanding as to where they are, what content types they're using. They've spent millions and millions of dollars, so they have a real good understanding as to who their avatar is, what content types are going to work. And so naturally, that's where they're going to be focusing all their attention. So make sure that you take notes on those well-known brands. Where are they? What kind of content exists? And really try and generate a list of ideas from that. So that is absolutely what I would recommend. Of course, you should be testing, always be testing the content types, always learning what it is you should be producing. Now, tomorrow we're going to be talking about what resources you will need in terms of human resources. What tools should you use? All of those other things that seem to bog people down and get people all wrapped up and confused. So we're going to go through all that tomorrow or on day 3, and I will talk to you there.